sequence we're going.
We don't know either, actually.
At least you admit it.
That's true.
Thank you.
I do think your question's a real good one, Rowdy, about that. And in fact, the meeting on the 15th, I just talked to Brenda about, we're working on a federal counseling grant for elementary schools. So we're going to come and talk about it on the 15th, once we get a little better organized. And the emphasis is going to be reaching out to our highest risk kindergarten through third graders and doing that through engaging with those kids' parents, by going to the parents. So hopefully we'll learn some things, about how to get parents involved better, because we've tried it for a number of years and we haven't done a very good job with our most at-risk parents, which of course are the ones we really want to get involved so they can help with the kids.
And that was really where my question was directed earlier. I mean, I'm not familiar with the studies and statistics, but I would bet $1 to a donut hole that children whose parents are involved in their education do a lot better than children who go it alone. I mean, I know I'm a product of the Head Start system at Ranger Elementary a long time ago, and I can remember when I started first grade. Kindergarten, I guess we were all in there, but those of us that were in the Head Start program and had parental involvement then, we had a leg up. There was a group of us that went to Head Start together who were not double promoted, but there were 7 or 8 of us that were a year ahead. When we were first graders, we were put in the second grade. We went all through school a year ahead, and then had to go to 6th grade twice because they wouldn't let us go to middle school. but we clearly had a leg up on the students that didn't have that opportunity. And I know all of those kids, maybe with the exception of one, their parents were involved early on. And if you set the tone, someone mentioned it, that parents of younger children are more likely to be involved in the children's lives than when they get a little older and they get a little more self-sufficient. But if you get those parents involved early, I don't care if it's in the classroom or at home, if you get them involved in their kids' education, they'll stay involved and the kids will do better as a whole. So that's your all's approach. I think that is potentially the biggest thing that you can do, is actively getting the parents involved, whether it's in school or out of school. Without it, we're going to continue on as we've been. Sorry.
That's all right.
Didn't interrupt.
Well, that's a good segue, because like I say, on the 15th, we'll present in more detail what we figure out between now and then. We still don't have everything figured out for the grant, but we'll do that. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update about, this is all coming out of the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation grant that we got last July. And one of the pieces of it was to develop an early childhood education certification program. That's the thing we've sort of been focusing on. And the step that we're at right now is to try to encourage high school students to sign up for that when classes start this fall. So this is just a little handout that the counselors at the high school are using to get kids signed up. If everything falls apart, which I don't think we think it's gonna do, we figured it would be a whole lot easier to deal with the 12, 15 kids who signed up for that than at the very last minute trying to redo everybody's schedule and get those 12 or 15 kids into this program.
Now, Rick,
Yes, sir.
once again, at what point did you try to decide who's going to be interested in this? Working with Mr. Snyder, obviously.
In
the rest of the
early
school year or when school starts?
The early childhood education, the CTE program, that would be in the fall of 2014. This coming fall.
That's when you identify the students who would get the program.
That's what the program would actually be ready to go at that point.
And students, the student interest, when is that?
Student interest.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
At your last meeting, or our last meeting day, we talked about that. How do you? Okay.
And I guess the key thing we're waiting on now is that letter from the State Board of Education
Correct,
confirming the verbal commitment.
correct.
Dr. Dean.
And what's the purpose of that?
The start-out money. For
Didn't answer, I just
the.
wanted to say.
You want to hear the M word out of her mouth.
The funding.
Go ahead.
I get, you know, it's in the mail, hopefully. And, but we just felt like we had to be proactive and get the wheels moving on this so that it wouldn't be too late when we finally got startup funding to make sure that we had students who were gonna be in the program.
Now, could you refresh our memory on what all the startup funds?
You want me to do that? I'd be
Is
happy
it
to.
the instructor and materials or what?
Yes.
Yes.
Everything. Go ahead and tell
It's,
them. She will prepare them.
it's money to fund the person who would teach this class for the first year, fund all the salary, and the fringe and the match and all those kind of things. And then it would also fund the costs for preparing the classroom, which would include supplies and materials and textbooks.
This classroom doesn't require restroom facilities?
This it's very confusing. I apologize for the confusion, and we got a baby on here, so that makes it probably even more confusing. This is a CTE class, one of the career and technical education classes, like welding or the multiple classes that we have at the high school that is for high school students. And when they would graduate after 2 years, after they go through this ECE, Early Childhood Education, part of the CTE program, after they would do that for the 2 years, when they graduated, they would be certified in early childhood education, and they could work in a Head Start center as a teacher's aide. They could work in a kindergarten classroom as a teacher's aide. They could work in an accredited child care center. So they would have, upon graduating from Lincoln County High School, they would have a job.
I understand that, and I appreciate you. But, so this is a typical classroom. It doesn't require any...
Yes. It's just for high school students. If they need to go to the bathroom,
They go like...
they can go down the hall like
Well, I thought so.
like the rest of us, yeah. So that's that part, and I think where it gets confusing for all of this is that the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation grant was to fund us looking at this, the early childhood education, the CTE component, but it was also to get us to begin to look at a child care center, which is a completely separate kind of issue that we are still,
We're not as far along in that.
we are not as far along at all on that one. And the child care center would need some bathrooms
Right.
in it, for just like the West Hamlin.
Right. Well, that's why I was trying to
Yes.
distinguish the difference.
Right.
And is there classroom space already allocated for this program for next year?
There's not.
CTE,
Now, do you have a specific room
Yes.
identified?
yes. 1260 between the ROTC and the old special ed room where we're gonna put we were talking about putting the daycare center.
What goes on in 1260 right
That's
now?
a health room right now.
It's a health class room. They're gonna,
He'll travel.
he's moving elsewhere, or he or she.
And once the letter comes, there would be funding to make the transition to make the early childhood education classroom, which is now the health classroom, ready to be the early childhood education classroom.
It would allow us to then post for an instructor.
In addition, so it's got two sort of funding streams that would take care of that for the first year. So that's the first part. Yes.
Go ahead.
I have a
I'm sorry.
question. With our LCHS students with McKenna having first choice priority, would.
Okay, now we're talking about the daycare center.
We're talking about this group.
Okay, all right, see, now I'm confused.
What about adults filling in any vacant spaces?
Say that again?
Adults for the program after our students' needs have been taken care of. Would adults be allowed to?
We've tried that with other CTE programs, and we don't seem to be very successful. We're supposed to be partnering with Southern, and I will say too that there's been some dialogue, but again, not real successful. We actually tried to get that classroom put in the Southern campus or Southern wing, and they told us that we could, but we have two foreign language classes down there, and one of those foreign language classes would have to come out. They just have 5 rooms, and they're kind of wanting to keep their rooms there. We occupy 3 of the 5 rooms they have, and they're during the day anyway. And we were given permission to do that, but one of those foreign language classes have to come out, and they won't give us any more of their rooms, to be quite honest with you.
Not right now, Larry. So
I suppose.
I guess it's permissible, but a lot's going to be dependent, I guess, on how many, is there a class load requirement, or
There is,
minimum,
I'm sure.
maximum, and all that?
There'll be a minimum and a maximum. I don't know what that is yet, I've not looked at it, but I know for automotive, it's 12, 14, 15, nursing, I think 20, so I'm sure there'll be a minimum and a maximum number for the CE classroom.
So when Mrs. Lucas posts this position, it's going to say a minimum of X number of students would be
I'm sure
required.
they'll post it.
I guess what I'm saying is to ensure that we get the program, that we put it in effect. If we don't have enough LCHS students, can we have adults to reach our goal?
That might be up to this group.
I know we have 13th-year students that if they don't complete, they come back as adults. So as long as I've been there, I don't remember any adults coming during the school day to fill a classroom up for CTE class. I don't remember that happening. The conversation we had with Southern was because they wanted to partner with this was to, let's do something after school and all those CTE programs, but again, that never happened. I'm not saying that it couldn't, but I just never had that happen.
But what I'm saying, if it's
Possible,
permissible.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Can.
Yeah, we can definitely let that happen.
Okay, good. That's my question.
There are a couple of other high schools in the state that are doing that and have, not very many, but do have adults from the community that actually pay, like you pay for a college class. So that would really be between, you know, Ms. Lucas and Southern to negotiate how that would work. That's how it works with other schools that are doing that.
But currently Southern isn't involved in this program, or are they?
There currently, there's some conversation.
Okay. But as it stands tonight, they haven't given you anything or done anything since.
Okay. And haven't given me anything. I don't know if there've been other conversations with other people who are involved or not.
So I'm not sure we give a high school credential to an adult. I guess is why we need to get Southern involved. Because that's, they're getting high school credit.
All right.
So it definitely is complicated. And this one, the thing that you have a piece of paper about, okay? That program isn't as complicated as the daycare center, which is even more complicated. And of course, we're just thinking about all this stuff at the daycare center. The goal would be to have a place where high school students could have daycare provided for their children. A model we're looking at is if there weren't enough high school students, if we had room, we would open it up to faculty, teachers at the high school and in the county to bring their kids, and community members. And of course, the big goal has always been the belief that the daycare center can help us reduce dropouts, because a lot of times young parents who are still in high school are just overwhelmed, and it's easier to stay home with the kid than it is to go to school. That would certainly be one. Another goal is that we feel like the daycare center is going to increase parenting skills among both the people in the CTE class, but also among the parents of the kids who are in the daycare center. And it's also going to help those children in the daycare center become better educated, more socialized, better able to achieve in school, so that they're going to be successful children in our educational system of teen parents, as opposed to what often happens is children of teen parents are not really as successful as they could be.
That's the one we haven't really made much progress.
That's right. That's the one we haven't made much progress on. And it's complicated, there are lots of different pieces, but the other thing is that there are also lots of opportunities out there. There's grants and funding opportunities. And, I'm not sure if this is the point, but it would help those of us who are struggling through with this, if you all as a board have some specific questions that you would like us to try to address, the what if, or when then, or any of those kind of things, so we could come back to you and give you more information about the potential and the possibility of the daycare center. That might be a valuable kind of thing at some point.
Well, I know the initial question I'm always going to ask is, where is it going to be? Kind of get back to Mr. Snyder, do you indeed have a location that meets all the criteria? I think that's going to be the biggest stone with what we might have, but it may be okay, but that's all.
Well, that certainly is, that is something we're looking at and talking about. And if there's not a suitable place at the high school, an option might be we bring in some double wides, or that we find funding to do bricks and mortar stuff. There are.
That would be my first.
And my first question would be, I would like to see statistics. There's a lot of perception. People in the community have a really mixed opinion as to whether something like this should exist as part of the school system. You have one group of people, at least what I'm hearing from people, that believe that this is a good way to do the things you say. There are also an equal and sometimes louder opposite group of people that
Let's
say
just say they're louder, but not equal.
They say to me, great, we're going to promote our children to have children because we're going to take care of them in the school system. Go on, girls, have kids while you're teenagers. We'll babysit them while you get your high school degree. Are there statistics?
There are studies and things, and I'd be happy to sort of compile like a white paper or something that goes through a batch of these studies and sort of refutes the fact that by having this, you encourage bad behavior, poor decision-making, and you end up with more kids indiscriminately.
I would like to see that. So
Okay.
when I have people say to me, the only thing this will do is create or result in more children in this school, I would like to be able to rely on statistics to say that's not what the numbers show.
Great, we could certainly do that, and we'd love to share it with the newspaper as well. And so, because I think that's true, that if you've got a vocal part of the population that's feeling that way, it's important to get some information to them that shows a different light on it. So where's it going to be, and why is it not going to create more babies? Are there other kinds of questions that would be?
Well, if you're gonna open up to the general public, what you're gonna do with these private daycare centers around here? Are they gonna be affected very much?
You asked, Rick.
I know, well, that's why I asked.
I mean, unless you have a large area, you couldn't have a large number of children in the program, could you?
At the high school, in the high school?
Right.
Yes, it's regulated by square feet, X number of, yeah.
And so, I don't know, what's the average square footage size of a classroom at the high school? Just a ballpark,
25 by 30, maybe.
600, 700 square feet?
And we're thinking we need a bigger space than that to create if we were looking at the Reggio model, with all this great tactile stuff and things.
How many babies do we have at high school right now?
When we do the teen parenting day, which is once a month, where the parents bring in, we've got them from newborns to 3? Two and a half.
Yeah, 2.5.
2+. We have 8 right now. But there are young women who have never come back to school after they had their baby. Now, I'm not sure how many of those there are. I know that all the young women who have come back to school and are in the program are still involved. So we've got those 8, and there may be more. And of course, I'm not sure this is something you can project. In 2 years, you're gonna have. Okay, thank you.
Well, if I have any other thing.
We'll,
Well, I'd like,
So go ahead, Fred.
we're talking about all this, but we keep wanting to stick our head in the sand about the drug issue. I mean, we've got to do something about the drugs. And I don't know if this program is gonna have any effect on that, but these new mothers, I mean, you're gonna get some drug babies there.
fortunately, that hasn't happened yet, although one of the components of this teen parenting is that we take pregnant teens and the daddies to Cabell Huntington Hospital, where people are talking to them about that very thing. And we do have people who come into the group, the monthly group, and talk about how important it is to make sure that you're not using any kind of drug.
Well, I'm sure these teachers right there have some drug babies,
Yes, sir.
and they're not easy to deal with, I understand.
Well, I'm sure your daughter, I mean, the work she's doing
Right.
in the hospital.
So I want to go back to the CTE class. My question is for Mr. Snyder back there. Looking at this sheet, do you have a copy?
No, I don't.
Well, looking at this sheet, one of the requirements would be 2 classes each, junior and senior year. Plus, they would need to spend 480 hours working with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in a licensed classroom. And I assume that would be 240 hours per year. And they're going to have 2 classes during the day, plus they're going to have release time when these licensed classrooms are in operation.
Correct.
Is that feasible?
I think so, yes, because we're talking about bringing them here, actually. They have the center back here also. And most of your other classes actually have that core class, they call it 2 classes, the core class, plus the elective. And that would be their elective.
Okay.
So maybe in the April 15th meeting, hopefully we have a report on some of these questions.
So, and once again, the only, the grant would pay for the salary for the first year, and after that would be awarded there soon, but that's something miraculous happening.
Yes.
More grants?
More grant? Yes.
All right, thank
Yes.
you, appreciate it.
I don't know, maybe if we didn't spend all the money that they're gonna send us for the room reverberation, we could put that for the salary for next year. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it would be X amount of dollars that would come from the state.
And I would assume it would be one pot for salary and the other pot for materials, but, you know, we did use off materials, but depending on whether they would allow us
Allow us to come in.
to use it.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank